Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the opening weekend of License to Thrill featuring Charlotte Rose and the Connor Brothers. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking with one of the artists herself, Charlotte Rose. Let's give her a warm welcome. So this is the second year in a row that we've brought Charlotte and the Connor Brothers to Austin, and already we're off to an amazing start. First, Charlotte, thank you so much for traveling to be here. I know it wasn't an easy trip. What's it like being in Austin for the second time?
I love Austin.
Yeah?
It's like a second home to me now. I feel like I know it so well. And I'm here for 3 weeks this time, so I feel like I'm gonna really get to know the city and kind of feel like I live here.
Yeah, we already have plans to make sure we show you all the best parts of the city, including we're going to play poker, maybe even do something for Halloween, so very much on brand with the show. If you can't tell from looking at her artwork, Charlotte is an incredible self-taught artist who comes from a long lineage of creatives in her family. What I love most about her artwork and what really resonates with folks here in Austin is this play on a pop sensibility, thinking of the 60s, artists like Andy Warhol, but turning a lot of these classic advertising and commercial symbols on their head with as I would say, a very cheeky British spin to it. Beyond that, Charlotte has a degree in literature, and so you see that reference in a lot of her work, specifically around the Shakespearean quotes. There's references to Kurt Vonnegut in the show, and so for those of us who enjoy some hidden messages and pieces that grow with you over time, Charlotte's work is an incredible example of all of that. So to kick us off, Charlotte, tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming an artist. Where did you start, and when did you first pick up the paintbrush?
So my mum's an artist. She was almost like a hobbyist artist. She never really had a career out of it, but I was always seeing her painting in the living room and in the kitchen growing up. And her parents are architects and painters as well, so it was always in the background of my life. But I studied English literature and creative writing at university, and I wanted to be a novelist. So I graduated, and that was my plan, and then I went straight into the pandemic. And I started painting just out of boredom. And it came, well, I loved it. And it kind of came easier than writing. For me, I always struggled to be a good writer. And when I started painting, I was like, oh man, I should have been doing this the whole time. But yeah, so the first collection of works were painted throughout lockdown, and by the end of it we had about 10 paintings finished, and I'd pre-sold some paintings like over social media, and so with that money I had about $3,000 to my name. I went to a space in central London in Fitzrovia, which, if you know about anything about London prices, expensive. And so I went to this guy, ballsy as anything, and I was like, can I rent this space for a week? And he was like, yeah, this will be like an insane amount of money. And I was like, I'll give you like £3,000. And he was like, okay. And we threw the exhibition. It was me, my friend Elijah, and all promoted on social media. And we sold out the entire thing. So that kind of kicked everything off, and I haven't really looked back since.
Hell yeah. That's amazing. And I love a story like that because no one really told you could, but no one really told you couldn't, and you just went for it.
I think I was really naive. I don't know if I would have like the balls to do that now. I was like 21 and I was like, oh yeah, of course I can do this. But, yeah.
I love that. And what were the results from that show? How was it received?
I mean, it was crazy because a lot of the people that came to that first show are still collectors to this day and coming to a lot of my shows in London. So it's really nice to see familiar faces that were there from the start. So yeah, it was well received. Yeah.
So since then, you've been working, painting, exhibited around the world. Obviously, you were here last year. Tell us a bit about what your studio practice is like.
So I moved into a new studio about 2 years ago now, and I'm so lucky to be there. I live and work in the same space, so I kind of have this, it kind of looks like a New York loft style situation, but I just roll out of bed and kind of the painting, and it's super integrated into my lifestyle, so I don't go to paint, I just kind of paint in the in-between moments. It's just part of my life. Yeah, it's quite nice.
That's amazing. When you're in your studio, you know, you wake up, you have your tea, you're bopping around. Tell us what inspires you the most. Do you think back on certain things you've seen, or is it a book that you've read, a advertisement that you've seen? Where do you get these ideas?
I mean, I'm always looking for inspiration, but a lot of it is based in literature just because of my background, and I'm reading quite a lot, and it's kind of what I know the most about. But I also love like gleaning inspiration from like 60s and 70s magazines and advertisements. I love Mad Men. I think that's a brilliant TV series. Yeah, just like anything like that. And also I try and get to as many galleries as possible and seeing new artists and new pieces of work and what people are doing as well, which is super inspiring.
Very well rounded.
Yeah.
So obviously I have to ask you about the Macbeth series. We have original paintings, we have your monoprints, and we have the rugs. So first, where does the fascination with Macbeth come from?
So the Macbeth pieces, like the ideas came from an exhibition that I did in 2023 called the Shakespeare Tobacco Company. So I did Shakespearean themes of tobacco brands. This piece here was actually shown at Perth Museum in Scotland because they did a exhibition on the history of Scottish kings. So they had the Stone of Destiny, which is a stone that they crown all of the monarchs on, and the first ever monarch that was crowned on the stone was Macbeth. And so they did a Macbeth exhibition alongside it, and they had Dame Judi Dench's Lady Macbeth costumes, and they had a first edition folio of Macbeth, and they asked me to paint an original for that show. So that's the actual piece that was in that show. But yeah.
That's incredible. So this was exhibited in a museum, and you brought it here to Austin to show our collectors.
Yeah.
Okay, we were very lucky. The quote at the top, "A dagger of the mind," that comes from the actual Macbeth.
Yeah, that's from Macbeth. I thought there was a nice synergy between what that means and like the idea of having something having a hold of you and you can't kind of help but be controlled by it. So like the compulsion to smoke or like addiction or anything like that, I think that ties in really well. But yeah.
And then in terms of the cigarette iconography, so we recognize this as a very prominent cigarette brand. What does that mean to you? Is it the shape that you like? Is it the sentimentality of a cigarette?
So for me, I find that the fact that cigarette boxes are always on your person. There's not many things in life that like branding that has that kind of anchor in nostalgia. So a lot of people have memories tied to cigarette brands. So like their grandparent used to smoke a specific cigarette brand and it kind of reminds them of them or something like that. But also the cigarette boxes are so small, so there's a small amount of space to get a lot of information, and like they have to be quite powerful, and they're so you just kind of get a lot of information from a small space, and I find that quite interesting as well. I've been like playing around with something as iconic as the Marlboro packet. I've been like chopping it up and redesigning it, and you can still at first glance recognize it as a Marlboro packet, which is really interesting. Like even if you distort it, it still resonates, which I think is just means that the branding is so powerful. So I find that really interesting.
And tell us a little bit more about the rugs that we have on display. They are sold out. They sold instantaneously, but there's an amazing story behind how they're made and how you kind of came to that partnership. Would you mind sharing that with us?
I created them in collaboration with a studio called Robert Emile Studio in Morocco, Marrakesh. And they're all hand knotted in the Atlas Mountains. And it's like a very slow process, so they take a long time. So it's kind of the first collaboration that the studio did with an artist. So usually they create rugs for Soho Home, which is like, I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a furniture, high ticket furniture company. But they kind of do these quite simple designs. So actually getting the Macbeth to work was a long process, and like there was a few trial and errors, but we got there. But they're all individual, they're all slightly different and unique because they're handmade.
And then speaking of slightly unique, we also have your one-of-one monoprints, which also just for the record, thank you for bringing them, because I saw them on your Instagram and I was like, hey girl, I would like all of them because they're incredible.
And I gave you all of them. Yeah.
And you were printing these. I saw the video of you actually working the printing press or the silk screen machine, and then you're painting on top of them. So we have a collection of quite a few here. What was it like making these monoprints?
So I made them with Jealous Gallery in London. It's a screen printing studio. It's an institution in London, and it's a really cool space to work in, because every artist in London that is anyone works from there. So the day that I was there was actually Jamie Hewlett, who does all of the Gorillas artwork. I met him and I was like, this is crazy. But yeah, there's like always like, it's quite a bustling studio to work in, and I was there for 4 days with the team, and we were like hand screening them. So the way that we did these ones, because they're monoprinted, which means they're one of one, we paint directly onto the screen, put it through once, and then that's that original done. And then we put the screens on, and that's the uniform part. So each one is unique.
That's really incredible. I'm going to put you on the spot. Ignacio, could you grab us one of those monoprints? Thank you. And so from watching the footage of you doing this, I just want to be super clear. Sometimes when we think about printmaking, we think that it's a really easy mechanical process. You press print and then this amazing image is revealed. But from what I saw you do and from what I know about the screen printing process, this was no easy feat. You had to work hard to get that ink and that paint across. You had to make each one significantly individualized. Was that a challenge for you?
It was actually quite a physical thing to do. So by the end of the day, I was there for 4 days. My back was killing me. But yeah, it was really fun. Dario, who owns Jealous, was like working with me on them, and like the process is, it's pretty intense. And these guys are there day in day out doing them, so they're like strong.
Yeah. Well, we have a few examples of them that Ignacio is going to pull out on easels, and you can really see that they are each one individually unique. They have different colorways, they have different additions in painting, there's gold leaf, and so I think it's really special that you have artwork that is accessible to many different versions of collections. You can have something like this that is a unique original on your wall, or you can have a piece that's traveled here from a museum in Scotland. And I think that really speaks to your ethos as a creative. I do want to ask you about this piece to my left. Number one, I love how fun and playful it is, especially in a world where you're either a Pepsi or a Coke person. And I told you this, I'm a Diet Coke person, so I can't wait for that. But when you told me the story behind this, it completely opened my eyes to it, and your artwork is so evocative in that way. Would you mind sharing where the inspiration from this piece comes?
So I took the inspiration from Princess Diana's famous sweater that she wore. So she wore this. It was like a defiant move to wear a sweater that was like the black sheep of the family. So it's like loads of white sheep, one black sheep, and she was obviously like, you know how it went. But yeah, so I found that kind of interesting and as a concept, and so I did my own version that's a bit tongue-in-cheek and a little bit silly, where Pepsi, which I think Coca-Cola is the kind of default for everyone, I feel.
If you're asking, I agree.
Yeah. So I did like a little Pepsi black sheep.
I think that's so fun. I mean, and then thinking about Princess Diana and all of this, then that's what your work does, for me at least, and I know for our team here, is you can look at it aesthetically on a superficial level, if you will, and they're beautiful, well executed, and fun, and often make us laugh. But there's also a really intense philosophical depth to them that you can pull out of them, but you allow the viewer and the collector to make that choice.
Yeah, I never want to say too much just in case someone else wants to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know the answer to this, but if someone asked you, what does this mean, or is there a right or wrong answer, what would you say?
No, I feel like there's no right or wrong answers. Whatever you want to put to your own ideas.
Yeah, and I think that's really special. We also, for the first time, have a series of your unique studies that I was so impressed to see. Will you tell us a little bit more about what those are like?
Yeah, so I actually had them like just on my desk for about like 2 years. So
really? 2 years?
Some of them, I mean, some of them are new, but I think I just had like a pile of, so basically I just sketched them out and like they're watercolor. And before I do a big piece, I just like, it's like a little plan just to see like what it's going to look like and if it's going to work. So I had a pile of these on my desk, and then actually this time last year when I was here with the Connor brothers, I saw that they put their little plans on the walls, and I was like, oh, is that a thing? Okay, cool, I'll do that. But yeah, so these are just, they're really cute, really sweet, like this big.
And on top of that, it's amazing to see your process of working through an image, whether it's with a cigarette pack or whether it's with a specific book title. And they're very, they're very honest. They're very real versions of you kind of grappling with what the final piece is going to look like. And number one, I appreciate you sharing them with us. And our collectors have already snagged several of them because they're petite, but they're so powerful. And I appreciate you bringing them. Last question for you. Overall, being here in Austin for the second year in a row, there are many, many collectors here who know and love your work. What have you been up to in the last year since we saw you last? I know you've had some major projects, magazine covers, you traveled. What's been the highlight of your year?
I did my first magazine cover, which was Die Repubblica in Italy. It's it was really cool.
It's a big deal.
And I got Harris Newcomb involved, who is an artist in this gallery as well. So I asked him to shoot the cover. I bought a load of screen prints. We kind of made a set out of my screen prints in the background, and that was really cool. What else have I been doing? I forgot.
You traveled. You were in Jamaica.
Oh, I was in
Morocco.
Jamaica. I did go to Morocco. I've been doing some stuff.
I'm just here to say that Charlotte is a very cool girl, and if you can't tell, one of the sweetest that I know. So you've been up to some major, major things in this past year, and I just have to say, on behalf of the gallery and Austin, thank you for coming back. We love having you, and we love having you in the family.
I love being here. Thank you so much.